G'day everyone, another instalment from my top 20 album series. Hope you're finding something of interest in it, or maybe realising how little you have in common with me musically. We're up to number 12, and this is another big favourite of mine. If any Kiwis out there, hopefully you'll relate to this one, because I love this band. I'm talking about Shihad, and the album is The General Electric, which came out in 1999. Shihad's been around for a long time. Their first album came out very early in the 90s. They're still going. Been a while since they produced an album. 2014, I think, their last studio album, but still going strong. A great live act too, and they do play in Australia a fair bit, so check them out if you get a chance. But this was my introduction to Shihad, and a colleague of mine, in fact I'll name him, Peter Ryan, then of AFL Media, now at The Age, bumped into me in the press box one day and was telling me how good this band was, and I decided to check him out, and I'm eternally glad he did. The first song I heard of theirs was, it's a real rocker and a live favourite, My Mind's Sedate, which has a chanting chorus, backing vocals, My Mind's Sedate, and there's a well-worn joke about how it sounds like some people think they're singing Marmite City. Yes, it's another of those Mondegrins misheard lyrics. We could do a whole series on them at some stage. My Mind's Sedate, a really tough sounding song. Musically, they're tight as a drum, these guys. I really like the lead vocalist, John Toogood. Plays guitar as well. Phil Knight, another guitarist. Carl Kippenberger on bass. And Tom Larkin is the drummer. So this was their fourth album, The General Electric, and they'd already encompassed a few different styles by this stage. Their first couple of albums pretty heavy, sludgy. Their third one, self-titled, which had come out about 3 years earlier, a bit more commercial sounding and a bit poppier. And this one sort of strikes, I think, a good balance between those two styles. The title track, The General Electric, is a bit of a live standard of theirs and a great song. Other favourites of mine on this are, I said My Mind's Sedate, Just Like Everybody Else, the Metal song, which is a slow track but still quite heavy. Thin White Line, another favourite of mine too, which song everyone seems to think is about cocaine and drug use, but it's not. It's about racism and xenophobia. So I don't know how much you've heard of Shihad. You might have heard The General Electric. You might have heard My Mind's Sedate. They've done a lot since this. I think, how many albums since this? They for a brief time, were actually known as Pacifier. They went to the US around the time of 9/11, and there was a lot of fear about how the name Shihad, which sounded like jihad, would come across, so they changed their name. Didn't quite work out for them. They copped a lot of flack about that, released one album under the Pacifier label, and then went back to Shihad after the, I guess, the statute of limitations had run out on potentially offensive to the Yanks band names, however long that lasts. But this one's still, for mine, their best album. I like just about everything they've done. They go in cycles. They progressively got a bit more commercial sounding and a bit lighter sounding after this record. But their last album, Five Eyes, or FVEY, in 2014, that was really heavy. They brought in one of their old producers, can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy from Killing Joke, to produce this album and gave that album, and it gave it a really heavy sound. Like I said though, this for me is sort of like the best of both worlds. It's reasonably heavy in parts, but there are some real poppy sounding songs on it, and I think it's pretty radio friendly and commercially sensitive, if you like. So I'd be surprised if any rock fan couldn't find several tracks on this they didn't like. Anyway, it, for me, still stands the test of time. I still play it regularly, still really like it, still really like this band. And if we ever get to go outdoors again, one of the first things I'd like to do is go and see them live again, because they are terrific live. So that's number 12 in this list, and it is Shihad with the General Electric. I'll be back soon enough with number 11.